All right, let's get right into it. If you've ever felt like your dating life is just guesswork, you're not alone. Today, we're diving into a playbook that swaps luck for logic. It's called the Pickup Scientist Program, and it's all about getting real, systematic, and measurable results. So let me ask you a question that probably hits pretty close to home. Why is it that some nights, some interactions, they just click, while others totally fizzle out and you have no idea why? If you are sick and tired of success feeling like a total lottery ticket, then this is for you. The source material makes it really clear that the difference between the guy who struggles and the guy who succeeds isn't luck or talent. It's a mindset shift. It's about going from the freewheeling newbie who just wings it with some memorized lines to the pickup scientist. A scientist doesn't hope. He runs experiments, he gathers data, and he analyzes every single interaction to get better, fast. So how do you actually make that shift? Well, before you learn any new techniques or lines, it all starts with the right mindset. And the core of that mindset is this. You have to stop thinking in terms of success or failure. From now on, the only thing that matters is the data you collect. This whole process just reframes everything. First, you start treating every interaction like an experiment. Its only purpose is to gather data. Then, and this is crucial, you have to be a non-judgmental observer. Look at what happened objectively, without beating yourself up. You're actively looking for that clash, the moment where what you thought would happen slams into reality. Do this enough and you start developing your intuition, literally training your brain to make better moves automatically. And that's the real endgame here. This isn't about making tiny little tweaks. The whole point is to find those massive world model shifts. Those moments where your entire understanding of an interaction just flips upside down, like seeing the Matrix for the first time. That's what really skyrockets your progress. Okay, so if every interaction is an experiment, how do you actually collect the data? Well, that brings us to what is maybe the single most important tool in this entire system, your interaction data log. Because if you're not writing it down, you're just guessing. The core of this data log is what's called a field report. Just think of it like your lab notes. It's a detailed, written record of the experiment, the interaction that you just ran. Without this raw data, any analysis you try to do is just a shot in the dark. And a good field report is all about the details. Yeah, you've got the context, the exact dialogue, but the real gold is your internal state. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? Documenting what you predicted would happen versus what actually happened. That's the key. According to the source, even just one page of these notes becomes this incredibly powerful resource for your growth. Okay, now we get to the fun part, the analysis drills. We're going to start with how to really dissect her statements to understand the machinery working behind her words, what she's really saying. Here's a total game-changing idea. Every single question she asks you, no matter how innocent it seems, is built on a foundation of hidden assumptions about you and about the world. Your job as the scientist is to dig them up. Let's use this example. Imagine things are escalating and then, bam, she asks, "What church do you go to?" Now, that's not small talk. The hidden assumption, the presupposition, is that you go to church. She's not just curious, she's seeking information. She's running a qualification test on you to see if you fit into her worldview as potential boyfriend material. Understanding that lets you handle it strategically instead of just blurting out an answer. Okay, so this is where all that analysis turns into direct, practical action. It's about systematically upgrading your own default responses, so your reactions in the moment just get better and better over time. This right here is the magic question. This is what you have to ask yourself over and over when you're reviewing your field reports. For every single critical moment, you force your brain to brainstorm better alternatives. This is like giving a direct command to your subconscious on how to perform next time. So look at this. You take a totally standard, boring answer like, "I'm a computer programmer," and you consciously brainstorm something that actually serves you better, something that builds intrigue, shows passion. You are literally reprogramming your own intuition so that the next time you're in the heat of the moment, this better response is what comes out naturally. All right, let's talk about one of the most counterintuitive concepts in this entire system, mastering tempo and timing. And I'll tell you right now, according to the source, this is something that almost every guy gets completely wrong. So to understand tempo, you have to start thinking in terms of waypoints. These are just the major milestones in any interaction. Things like moving her from the bar to a quieter spot, pulling her home, getting a number, going for the kiss close. They're the key points of advancement. When you're analyzing your report, you've got to ask yourself this, and you have to be brutally honest. The source material is crystal clear here. If you felt that urge, that little voice telling you to advance to the next waypoint but you hesitated, you almost certainly could have and should have done it much, much earlier. And here's why that hesitation is such a killer. Most guys think they need to drag things out to build comfort, but the source argues that's a huge mistake. The longer an interaction goes on, the more chances it has to lose momentum and just die. Speed is your ally, not your enemy. So, what's the actual result of all this? What's the real payoff for doing this rigorous analysis instead of just, freewheeling it? The results are pretty dramatic. According to the source, after just 3 months, the freewheeling newbie is, well, he's still a newbie. He's still getting lucky every once in a while. But the guy who meticulously analyzes his field reports, he is flying. His progress is exponential. And that's maybe the most important point. This process isn't a long cut, it's the ultimate shortcut. Yeah, it feels like more work up front, but because every single interaction becomes a powerful lesson, you learn and adapt at a speed that is simply impossible for the guy who's just guessing. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. The playbook is right here. It's open for you. So what crucial, game-changing patterns are just waiting to be discovered in your own interactions if you just start analyzing them like a scientist? The first experiment is all yours.